Hello, and welcome back to the Stoic Cellist. Given my current situation, which I should say is improving well, I thought it would be appropriate to discuss my history with playing injury, my eventual recovery, and the ongoing challenges I am facing. Playing injuries are a constant issue for musicians, and every musician, regardless of instrument, is susceptible. We are, in a pithy phrase, elite athletes of the small muscles. These muscles are simply not meant to take the kind of work that is demanded at a high level of playing. Combined with the merciless work ethic that is needed to succeed and the driven personality one needs, it's no wonder that we can push without noticing the damage until it's too late. In summer 2010, I participated in the National Academy Orchestra in Hamilton, Ontario. First was a chamber music component, followed by a few months of intensive rehearsal and several performances. It was a very tight and demanding schedule, but a very enjoyable experience living and working with other young musicians. I had finished my master's degree that spring and was determined to be in absolutely top shape by the end of the summer so I could take and win auditions. To that end, I was practicing 2 to 3 hours a day on top of almost daily double rehearsals. Quite simply, this was too much. My left shoulder couldn't take the work anymore and gave out. There was tingling numbness through the wrist up into the heel of the hand and a significant amount of pain and discomfort in the shoulder joint. I was able to finish the festival, but it was uncomfortable, and I was completely unable to practice. My first mistake was overdoing it. My second was to do almost nothing over the next year to try and fix it. Glossing over the details, I mostly just waited and hoped it would get better. It wasn't until late in 2011 that I stumbled upon ART, or Active Release Technique, in Tim Ferriss' book, The 4-Hour Body. Very briefly, ART is a deep tissue manipulation modality that is ideal for soft tissue injuries. It sounded very promising, and I immediately tracked down a local practitioner. It was immediately apparent that this was a large part of the recovery puzzle, as a couple of sessions provided some long-needed relief. Things were far from perfect, but it suddenly looked as though there was some hope of becoming a functional musician again. The second part of the recovery puzzle was the Feldenkrais method. I was introduced to Feldenkrais in my master's, as my teacher Uri Vardi is a longtime practitioner, but it wasn't until late 2011, early 2012 that I began to work regularly in an individual capacity with a practitioner who also happens to be a longtime friend and colleague. Feldenkrais is difficult to succinctly describe, but I think it's accurate to call it a method for learning how to more easily and effectively use your body. At that point, in spring 2012, I was starting to feel as though there was real hope for recovery. I took the audition for the Hyogo Performing Arts Center Orchestra and was offered the position. I spent the next 2 years in Japan playing full-time, and while my level of comfort varied, it was manageable. When I returned to Winnipeg in 2014, I immediately resumed my work in Feldenkrais and ART. Between that physical work and using Stoicism to develop a better sense of self-awareness and stop needlessly pushing myself beyond any useful extent, I was able to practice full-time and in 2015 won my first full-time professional audition. Jumping forward to now, early 2020, I managed to forget all of my hard-won lessons and irritate my injury and create more pain than I have felt in several years. Thankfully, the worst appears to be behind me, and I am cautiously beginning to practice more, this time taking care to be mindful of what I'm doing. Taking care to remember my Stoic lessons, primarily the ones related to worrying only about what I'm doing today, and to respect the incremental nature of progress. After all of this history and background, we finally come to what I hope will be something helpful for the rest of you. First, if you don't have any injury or significant discomfort, you are very fortunate, and I sincerely hope it remains that way. To keep things that way, be mindful of what you're doing and how your body is responding. Don't ignore persistent pain or discomfort. Recognize when you've hit your limit for useful work that day and learn to walk away until the next day. Respect the incremental nature of progress and have the discipline to respect your limits. Practice for practicing's sake is only tempting fate. Second, if you do have an injury, or even just persistent discomfort and are unsure of how to deal with it, or feel you are making little to no progress, I absolutely encourage you to look into both ART and Feldenkrais in your area. In my experience, ART is effective for ameliorating symptoms and fixing existing damage, while Feldenkrais will help you learn to stop doing the things that are causing you discomfort or injury. One or the other is effective, but I find they are especially effective in combination when dealing with an existing long-term issue. Please, stay healthy And if your health is suffering, seek help. I sincerely believe ART and Feldenkrais can and will help. There is no profit in delay and inaction. Whether music is already your livelihood, or you hope it will be, your physical health is critical to your ability to practice and perform. Don't be foolish like me and wait until it's too late.